The Basingstoke Canal passes through some lovely English countryside, and the section today is one of the best parts along the route it takes. Alan and I are back out once again for this, our third adventure together along the towpath. Hi, I'm Warren Brandon. Welcome to another Linleys video. This is Deepcut Bridge near Frimley on the Basingstoke Canal. This wide concrete bridge is rather out of place here in the quiet section of road and canal network. Hardly any traffic passes over it, but it's built with enough stature to cater for a main road for sure. We're going to walk along another section of the canal heading towards Brookwood. As we walk along the towpath, we look out for interesting features along the canal banks, and these odd large old pipe ends caught our attention. No idea what they're for, don't even seem to link up with anything. This flotilla of feathery fowl are all intent on getting somewhere together, it seems. I wonder if one of them is in charge, sets the paddle stroke and commands the rest. They all seem to keep in step with each other. Or should that be in paddle? The wander out with Alan has given us another chance to chat and catch up with things. We often meet and have a pint together, but the time out walking along the canal in the fresh air with the sights to see and explore, we can natter as we walk along. Passing the dock, as an old OS map labels it, we find the first lock on today's walk, number 28, Frimley Lock. It seems to be just like any normal standard brick-sided lock, with lovely stone top edging blocks, wooden lock gates and wooden cantilever arms. There are about 3 main ways which water's released down a canal, from higher sections above a lock to the lower sections around and through the locks. To let water into the lock to raise a boat up, most locks have side sluice waterways. Sluice gate valves are constructed within the side stonework, and the winding gear stands on top. Opening the valves here lets water rush into the lock under the surface of the water under the boat. This has to be managed carefully so as to avoid pushing the boat around inside the lock. I can't find any date on the upper older pair, but the lower pair of gates are obviously very new, with the lovely oak timber still slightly yellow and unweathered. the water is undisturbed with floating leaves on the surface and quite clear water beneath. There are a number of wide sections of canal here. I assume the navvies just didn't bother adding a bank to the other side and relied on the hillside bank to provide the other side of the canal, a little way off. The extra water volume would also help regulate and stabilise the water height in the canal in between the locks. To let water out of the lock, there are sluice gates on the lower end of the lock, usually on the lock gates themselves. On these lower gates, the lifting rods of the two water sluices are mounted on the backs of the gates, with the winding mechanism above bolted to the sturdy cantilever arm. Opening these sluices, water will drain out of the lock and gush into the canal below. The water level in the lock will go down quite quickly and tend to draw any craft back in the lock towards the lower gates.
That is a large, again, another large bow there.
If you've enjoyed this video, please take a moment to click that like button. Your encouragement would be most appreciated. Maybe, too, you would consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and if you have, thank you for your support. Sluices must always be left in the closed position when the lock is not being used. However, it looks like this one is left in a partly raised position. We can't lower it as the winding handle needed is carried aboard each boat as it travels through. Lock 25 here has a broad road bridge straddling right over the top. This is Curzon Bridge for the Brunswick Road. It's not a complete road really, but the path links to the southern side of Elizabeth Barracks, which occupies a large site north of the canal along here. The bridge is significantly bigger than the scale of the roadway it carries. Alongside the canal bridge, Brunswick Road goes over the railway tracks. This is the main line from London Waterloo down to Southampton and is 4-track alignment most of the way. If boats don't use the canal system for a while, the water levels in each section between the locks will tend to fill up if there's water entering along the canal by streams, or simply if water from higher sections flows down to lower sections. To prevent the water rising up too far and flooding over onto the towpath or cascading over the top of the lock gates, the side overflow channels are usually included to bypass the locks to let the water run around the outside of the locks. These are sometimes regulated manually with winding handles and sluice gates, otherwise water flows over little weirs when the level gets to the maximum height allowed. This channel is the outfall of the bypass water as it flows back into the canal from the upper section of the canal above the lock. The main line here is always busy, even on a Sunday like today. The colour schemes are mixed, and here this train carries the blue, red and orange from the older colours on the Waterloo to Basingstoke services using the 450 stock to 0 units. These units are gradually being repainted to the pale blue and dark blue livery. This repaint is following the refranchising from South West Trains to South Western Railway. The Southampton units are different as well. Alan and I stopped for a quick lunch and coffee using the lock gates as a handy seat and table. Just as well there are no boats wanting to use the lock just now. In fact, we haven't seen any boats go past all day so far. At lock number 17, this lovely old brick arch Cowshot Manor Bridge goes over the canal. The bridge provided access to the old Cowshot Manor just north of the canal. The manor is shown on an old 1885 to 1900 map, but then on a slightly later map, the area is just marked as Cooper's Hill. Perhaps the old manor has become disused, but the canal bridge is still very much in good shape. Right here we spotted the remains of a bridge abutments which used to carry a bridge over the canal. It wasn't at all clear what the bridge was for, but we assumed it was to carry a branch line off the main railway. The acute angle of the bridge makes it look very wide. Indeed, checking the old OS maps again, it's clear that there used to be a siding off the main line to link up with the army barracks on the north side of the canal. The 1888 to 1913 OS map shows the branch siding as Bisley Tramway and operated by the side of the London and South Western Railway. The cottage here may have been an old canal cottage, as it's right next to Pirbright Bridge and Lock. We needed to use the Pirbright Bridge to swap sides of the canal, as the next section we will walk on the northern bank for the final bit to Brookwood, a mile or so up ahead. This wartime pillbox still stands and even has open little window holes. There were thousands of these bunkers constructed in 1940 and 1941 along a defence line called the GHQ line. As we approach Brookwood, we admire some of the neat and tidy, well-kept gardens on the other side of the canal. This video is not about garden railways, but it's hard not to comment something like, "That garden would be just right for a garden railway." So Brookwood, our destination for today, is just 1 minute away. I think that is a quick cycling time and not for ambling walkers out for an easy wander. As Alan and I approach the station of Brookwood, we contemplate the next section of canal to explore in perhaps a couple of weeks' time. You may be interested in watching other videos in the Linleys channel, so please catch the links at the end of this video to take you to the next up suggestion and a recommended playlist. Awaiting our train, the northbound services are of mixed colour scheme, although the company name on the side of the blue and orange fleet is showing the correct company name, South Western Railway. Our odd colour scheme 450-0 units pull out to take us home. Thanks for watching and bye for now.